You're listening to Up Close and Acoustic. I'm Charlie Silvestri. Today, my guest is Robin Armstrong, and we're talking about his music project, Cosmograf. Okay, to the rant the other day,
Hmm.
because I think you brought up some important points, and I don't
Yeah,
want you to think that you posted it and it sort of just is out there
fizzled out.
floating in
Yeah.
the ether. Because I actually read it and enjoyed it and understood a lot of what you're trying to say. So I specifically marked down what I wanted to ask you.
Hmm.
As far as your vision, how much do you believe your music's purity is diluted due to having to promote to people's expectations? And before you answer, uh, I think that is a totally valid question and a valid point you made,
Hmm.
because God forbid a band that even I love tries something different. I always try to keep an open mind, because what they're creating is just as valid as what it was that I liked about a previous release.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
yet you feel you're worried that you're having to promote to people's expectations. So I'm guessing that means time signatures that, well,
Yeah.
it's not technical enough, or spoken word voiceovers, oh, that just gets in the way, or whatever. So I mean, what made you bring that point up? Because I think it's a very, very valid one.
I think a lot of that came out of the sheer frustration of watching the reaction to sort of some recent albums, and like the progressive rock fans just looking at those albums and listing down all of the offenses that those albums had caused amongst them. So,
It's true.
it
It's true.
crazy things like you've already mentioned, like too much spoken word, that's a point off. It's almost like they were scoring them in against the crimes against prog. See how, like, too much spoken word, you've got not enough time signatures, wall of 4/4, you've got what was the other things that came up? Too heavy, too not heavy enough, too much acoustic guitar, not too much guitar, not enough keyboard. All these sort of things. I won't mention any names because it could offend people. But I was reading a thread the other day, and it was going through like a list of singers and exactly why those singers particularly offended that particular sort of set of prog fans. I was thinking, my God, this is really could be the most closed-minded sort of audience that you could imagine.
I agree.
Um,
And it should be the
yeah,
most
and it should be
open-minded.
the open-minded audience.
It should be
So
the most open-minded audience there is in rock music or in any kind of music. Well, progressive music, it's going to take from here and there and everywhere, and
yeah,
hopefully cook something together that people are going to enjoy, because it's progressive music. Now, I don't I have to tell you, as a fan of your music and a lot of other progressive bands, I never, and I say this honestly, I never get hung up on, who's following certain time signatures, and, oh, well, they could have changed that up, and, or obviously it's no good unless it's in 5/4. If he
mm,
went from 4/4 to 5/4, that would have made it. It's like, I don't care about that. I
no,
mean,
yeah,
the creation, the art that you create is what should be looked at, listened to with a critical ear, if you like, or an ear that'll enjoy the music. And yet you're so right. That very audience that I love to communicate with on social media, and the very magazine that covers the genre, is always without fail full of nitpicking about
mm,
the way songs are put together. And I the beautiful thing about progressive music for me is it's all different, or it can be all different, and yet fit in the same genre.
yeah,
And I'm long form story songs. I love melodic stories, melodic music. That can fit into progressive rock. I don't need somebody to give me some sort of drum lesson in 13/8 or
no,
whatever.
yeah,
I don't need that. I just want something that I can focus on. And I think you were correct in pointing out that promoting to people's expectations will lead to your downfall if you try to do that.
Yeah. I mean, that's the thing. And that's the thing I really want to avoid is this, you know, looking at what I've written and saying, oh, there's not enough, you know, not enough sort of multi-time signatures in here, and there's not enough 7/8 there, and or this bit's too heavy, and you've got to go with what I think, and I think you know, I'm pretty happy with the level of sort of purity that I've kept. I think, you know, I've not made too many compromises. There are a few, but nothing major. You know, I said the thing in the piece online saying that if you were a really true sort of truly pure artist, you wouldn't do anything to promote the record. You just sort of make the record and it would just appear, and you wouldn't do anything. You'd let it go, and whatever people said about it, that's the sort of compromise for me, is that I've got to keep trying to promote it and say, come on guys, have a listen, and which I find quite uncomfortable. I have to say, I do find the whole self-promotion thing really uncomfortable. But
well, you know, it's sales, and people, you're not wrong to worry about that, because people have a very dim view of salesmen, and to separate yourself from artist to salesperson is a difficult thing, because it runs counter to what you do, but at the same time you need to do it